He controls Fortune 500 boardrooms. She commands bingo night. When a booking glitch pushes them into the same bed and breakfast cottage, sparks and dentures fly. Stay to see how two stubborn hearts in their late 60s discover it is never too late for first love. Chapter 1: The Last Room at Lavender Ridge. The charter bus hissed as its doors folded open, exhaling 42 wedding guests into the cool afternoon air of Lavender Ridge Resort. Rolling hills shimmered gold beneath the Georgia sun, and the scent of blooming lilac drifted from every hedge. It should have been peaceful picture postcard perfect, but Victor Hammond felt his pulse climb the moment his polished loafer touched gravel. On Wall Street, people called him the Iron Owl, a widowed tech finance magnate who could stay silent through entire negotiations until one sentence felled an army of lawyers. Yet here, suitcase in hand, he resembled any other silver-haired traveler except that his Tyrol gray suit and straight-backed posture made the rest of the passengers adjust their own coats with self-conscious tugs. Victor checked his watch. 3:07 p.m., 18 minutes ahead of schedule, just right. 3 days, he reminded himself, 3 days of speeches, small talk, and posed photographs for his goddaughter's wedding, and then he could retreat to real life where spreadsheets obeyed and emotion stayed in columns. He started toward the reception lodge when a burst of laughter erupted behind him. "Mercy me, would you look at that view? I could quilt it, frame it, and still not do it justice." The voice rang bright as silver bells. Victor turned against better judgment and saw a petite woman juggling a battered floral carry-on, a straw hat, and a reusable coffee mug decorated with dancing flamingos. Her salt and pepper curls escaped a polka-dot scarf, and her smile practically photobombed the landscape. Evelyn Rose Carter, retired elementary school teacher, grand multi-para grandmother, undefeated Scrabble champion of Oak Grove Senior Center, had arrived. Victor recognized her from the bridal shower months ago. She dominated a room full of millennials with stories about turning spelling lessons into Broadway numbers. He remembered thinking that anyone that lively at 68 had probably struck some illicit deal with time itself. Now she marched straight toward him. "Well, if it isn't he, Mr. Tall Dark, and board meeting," she said, parking her suitcase so close his Italian wool trousers threatened to wrinkle. "Victor Hammond, right? Allison's godpapa who signs the big checks?" He inclined his head. "Ms. Carter." "Please, honey, Evelyn will do. Miss Carter makes me think I am scolding someone." She offered her hand-painted nails, lavender glitter, tiny chips on the index finger where she'd probably gardened that morning. Victor hesitated, then shook it. Her grip was warm and surprisingly firm. "Ready for a weekend of love and lace?" she asked. "I am prepared." "Prepared? Lord, you sound like a weather alert." She winked, then skipped ahead toward the check-in desk, humming the Temptations under her breath. Victor exhaled slowly and followed. Lavender Ridge's lobby looked like Pinterest had married Architectural Digest. Stone fireplace, oil paintings of meadows, bowls of lemon water on antique tables. A sign read "Welcome, Carter Dawson Wedding Party," in pastel calligraphy. At the mahogany front desk, a young clerk with freckles and a crooked bow tie typed furiously, "Name, please?" "Victor Hammond," he said, sliding across a printed confirmation for Cottage 5, Lakeview Deluxe. The clerk's fingers froze. Color drained from his face. "One moment, sir." He whispered to the other receptionist. They scrolled. They frowned. They whispered again. Victor's stomach tightened. "Is there a problem?" "Sir, I am terribly sorry. Our booking software glitched after last night's storm. A few early arrivals were placed into vacant cottages out of order. I reserved 6 weeks ago." "I see that, but the keys were already released, and our policy is first come, first served," Victor finished, voice crisp as an ironed crease. The clerk gulped. "There is one cottage left, sir. Cozy, fully functional. But it is our last roof at the ridge." Victor waited for the other shoe. "And due to the error, it is set for double occupancy." His eyebrow climbed a millimeter. "With whom?" Evelyn slapped her flamingo mug onto the counter. "That would be me, sugar." Both men turned. She beamed like it was bingo night. The clerk exhaled. "Yes, Ms. Carter, your reservation likewise was misplaced. The system shows you and Mr. Hammond now share Cottage 12. The Corbel Suite." Victor imagined headlines tighten if tech appended by twin bed. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "Separate rooms are non-negotiable." "I am afraid there literally are no empty units," the clerk said. "We at 102 current capacity due to." Evelyn raised a hand. "Sweetheart, breathe before you swallow your tongue. Victor and I are grown folks. We can improvise." She pivoted to him. "You okay improvising, Victor?" He opened his mouth to object policy, propriety, personal space, but one look at her merry eyes and the lobby full of listening guests stopped him. An Iron Owl did not squabble in public. "Temporarily," he said. "One night only." Evelyn clapped once. "Adventure in our golden years." The clerk nearly collapsed with relief. He produced one key art embossed with lavender sprigs. Victor accepted it between two fingers like a live grenade. Cottage 12 sat halfway up a slope, wrapped in wisteria, overlooking a duck-dotted pond. A cobblestone path led to a white door marked Corbel Welcome Home. Inside, vaulted ceilings, pale blue walls, and one queen-size bed, embroidered pillows spelled out sweet dreams in cursive. Victor rolled his suitcase to the far corner. I'll request a cot. Or I'll take the floor, Evelyn offered. Unnecessary, the resort will rectify. He tapped his phone. 0 bars. Of course. Evelyn plopped onto the mattress. Oh lordy, this is softer than Sunday Grace. Victor, feel this. I'll stand. She kicked off her sneakers' bright turquoise high tops and wiggled her toes. Suit yourself. But if you crack your spine on a rickety cot. Don't say mama if didn't he warn you. He ignored that and inspected the bathroom. 1 pedestal sink, 1 lawsuit tub, and lavender-scented toiletries arranged like tiny soldiers, adequate if cramped. When he returned, Evelyn had unpacked half her life: a sunflower print robe, a ziploc of cinnamon tea bags, a travel sewing kit, and a paperback titled Jazz Divas and How They Loved. He cleared his throat. We will need ground rules. She arched an eyebrow. Oh honey, are we roommates in freshman dorm again? Curfew at 11, bathroom schedules to avoid overlap, no humming after 9 p.m. Evelyn pressed a hand to her heart and gasped theatrically. No humming? Not even a little Stevie Wonder? He kept a straight face, especially Stevie Wonder. She bit back a grin. Deal if you promise to loosen that tie before bedtime. It looks like it is holding secrets hostage. Victor's hand went to his collar. For the first time in years he felt heat in his cheeks. He turned away and busied himself with his laptop. At 5 sharp, rehearsal dinner cocktails began on the lake deck. Victor arrived. Ty still nodding at Namiteg's second cousins, ex-college roommates, co-workers of the groom. He accepted sparkling water and parked himself beside a potted fern. Across the deck, Evelyn flitted like a hummingbird. In 10 minutes she learned the bartender's favorite Motown record, corrected a little boy's shoelaces, and convinced the DJ to add Ain't No Mountain High Enough to tomorrow's playlist. Victor turned away, sipped his water, and counted minutes. But fate or a curly-haired tornado doesn't respect counting. Victor, come meet the brightest Aunt Clara. She taught me to make peach cobbler that'll make you write bad checks. Before he could refuse, Evelyn had his sleeve and the fern nearly toppled. He was introduced, asked about his fascinating work, and roped into a group photo where Evelyn popped bunny ears behind his head. The camera flashed, guests laughed. Something warm dangerously close to enjoyment sparked in Victor's chest. Later, as sunset painted the pond coral, the bride Allison embraced him. Thank you for coming, Uncle Victor. And thank you, she told Evelyn, for keeping him company. He can be reserved. Reserved is code for elegant, Evelyn whispered loudly, but we'll fix that. Victor almost smiled. Back at the cottage, dusk settled purple over the hills. Frogs groped by the pond. Evelyn emerged from the bathroom in her sunflower robe and fuzzy slippers. Victor sat at the small desk, glasses perched on his nose, spreadsheets aglow on his laptop. You really brought work? She asked softly. Deadlines. Dante paused for confetti. She filled the kettle, set it on the single-burner stovetop. Heartbeats. Dante repeat. Either. He paused. The kettle hissed. She hummed quietly, because rules, but he did not scold her. Tea brewed. Evelyn sat on the bed with her Jazz Divas. After 20 minutes she glanced up. Do you think love changes after 50? He kept typing. Statistics show companionship satisfaction can increase post-retirement. Lord save me from statistics, she chuckled. I mean the flutter, the sugar rush, the foolish grin you can hide. Does that still happen? He considered, surprised by the gentle ache that question stirred. I don't know. My late Harold made me feel 17 till the day he passed. She said, sometimes I wonder if lightning strikes twice. Victor thought of his own late wife, Elena, gone 10 years. The ache filed away like a sealed document. Lightning is unpredictable, he said quietly. Maybe that is the point, she replied, closing her book. Silence draped the room like a quilt. The kettle clicked off, and outside frogs sang on. At midnight, Victor finally rose. He requested the cot housekeeping golden tea deliver until morning. Fine. He retrieved a spare blanket, folded himself onto the hardwood floor between desk and wardrobe. Evelyn peered over the mattress edge. That floor'll all press your vertebrae. On there's room. I'll manage. She turned off the lamp. Moonlight slipped through curtains, painting stripes across the bedspread. Minutes crept. The floorboard stole warmth. His back protested. He stared at the ceiling, replaying Evelyn's laughter, the way she defried the DG from a rigid playlist, the glow in Allison's eyes. At 12:28 a.m., Evelyn's voice floated through the dark. Victor? Yes. You awake? Clearly. A pause. Thanks for not running screaming from this mix-up. He exhaled. Thank you for improvising. She chuckled. Night owl. He rolled that nickname on his tongue. Owl, not iron, and for reasons he couldn't explain. His chest felt lighter. Outside, a breeze rustled wisteria, carrying the sweet promise of something unplanned. As Victor drifted toward sleep on the world's hardest floor, a ridiculous thought teased him. Maybe lightning didn't strike twice. Maybe it struck whenever two conductors met, one of steel, one of laughter, and dared stand close under an open sky. He wasn't sure he wanted that. He was less sure he didn't. The kettle ticked as it cooled. Somewhere in the darkness a retired schoolteacher hummed a lullaby, barely above a whisper, and the iron owl closed his eyes without telling her to stop. Chapter 2 Rules, Rumors, and Rose Petals. The rooster that served as Lavender Ridge's alarm clock crowed at precisely 6:01 a.m. Victor Hammond was already awake, had been since 5, performing a slow, reluctant ballet of stretches to unknot every muscle the hardwood floor had bullied during the night. Each vertebra cracked like a pistol shot. He winced but refused to voice complaint. Pain, after all, was simply mismanaged data. Across the room, Evelyn Rose Carter snored lightly beneath an avalanche of quilts. She had cooned herself sometime after midnight, making the queen-size bed appear more like a technicolor nest. A single gray crow peeked from the blankets. It bounced with every gentle exhale, as if waving good morning. Victor regarded her for several seconds, a strange warmth flitting through his chest. The last time he'd watched someone sleep, it had been Elena, curled in a hospital bed beneath antiseptic sheets. He shoved the memory away, straightened his tie. He had fallen asleep fully dressed and padded toward the kitchenette. Tea first, a structured day required ritual. He filled the kettle, set it on the burner, and opened the cabinet for mugs. There were two, one plain white, the other painted with daisies and the words "Life is Beautiful." No prizes for guessing whose that was. A rustle of blankets. Evelyn, a sleepy voice drifted. "Coffee exists for a reason, you know." "Caffeine is caffeine," Victor replied, selecting the plain mug. "Tell that to my caramel macchiato," she muttered, sitting up. Her sunflower robe slid off one shoulder, revealing a soft green nightgown. She rubbed her eyes, saw him, and smiled like sunrise had nothing on her. "Morning, owl." He inclined his head. "Did you rest well? Like a toddler after recess, you? I've had better bargaining sessions with the feet." She chuckled. "Stubborn man, you should have taken the mattress." "I survived." He poured hot water over Earl Grey, let it steep precisely 4 minutes. "And yet your back is filing grievances." Evelyn swung her legs over the side of the bed. "Fee finding fuzzy slippers. I'll go first in the bathroom. Ladies' perks." He glanced at his Rolex. "Breakfast begins at 7:30. I can shower and moisturize faster than you can alphabetize an expense report. Relax." With that, she scooped toiletries into a sunflower tote and disappeared behind the bathroom door, humming Stevie Wonder under her breath. Victor sipped tea and opened his laptop. No Wi-Fi again. The storm must have mangled the tower. He frowned. Forced downtime, anathema to productivity. He looked out the window instead. The pond mirrored early light, ducks carving ripples across liquid gold. Somewhere past the hedges, wedding staff bustled, erecting a white lattice arch for that afternoon's rehearsal. A knock startled him. He opened the door to reveal a bellhop balancing an Armias folding cot. "Delivery for the Hammond Tartar party." Victor blinked. "At dawn?" "Housekeeping is swamped, sir. Wanted to ensure you weren't sleeping on the floor again tonight." The young man's eyes flickered to the single bed behind Victor, then widened with a mix of curiosity and envy. Clearly, rumors had wings larger than any else. "Place it by the wardrobe," Victor said. "Yes, sir." The bellhop maneuvered the cot through the doorway. A small white envelope slid from the mattress fabric and fluttered to the floor. Victor picked it up. "Room service voucher. Sincere apologies for the inconvenience. Enjoy a complimentary breakfast for 2, management." He pocketed the card. The bellhop saluted the air and departed. Evelyn emerged moments later wearing khaki abrics, a coral cardigan, and a grin that could sell sunshine in bulk. She eyed the cot. "Well, look at that. They send you a torture device. Better than hardwood." She studied the invoice he'd left on the counter. Her eyes sparkled. "Ooh, voucher. Free food tastes like victory." "Breakfast for 2, he said carefully. "We could split a table." "Well, we can let scrambled eggs go to waste. Let me grab my pearls." By 7:30, the dining hall buzzed like bees on brunch. Chandeliers dripped crystals over linen-lad tables. A buffet lighted like Broadway displayed steel trays of peach-glazed ham, stone-ground grits, and miniature sweet potato biscuits. Evelyn floated through the room greeting souls she'd never met. Victor followed, nodding with austere politeness to anyone within 10 feet. When they reached the buffet, a gaggle of bridesmaids paused mid-soup, eyes darting between them. "Morning, Ms. Carter." "Mr. Hammond," one ventured, voice sugary. "Heard why all got the coziest cottage." "Coziest is one word," Evelyn said brightly, piling strawberries onto her plate. "More like tight as 2 sardines in a hymn book." The bridesmaids giggled, then leaned into a whisper huddle. Victor felt heat climb his collar. He hated gossip almost as much as operational chaos. They found a small two-top near French doors overlooking the gardens. Evelyn doctored her coffee with obscene amounts of cream. Victor buttered a single wheat roll. "You okay, Al?" she asked, leaning in. "You look like someone downgraded your stock rating." "I do not enjoy being fodder for chatter." "Bless your heart, small towns run on chatter. Besides, rumor has it we were having a torrid affair." She waggled her eyebrows. He nearly choked on the roll. "That is absurd." "Absurd can be fun." She sipped coffee. "Let them talk. Gives folks something to do besides fret over enterprises." A pause settled. Through the doors they watched gardeners sprinkle rose petals along the stone path. "Practice run for tomorrow as ceremony." "Did you help choose those?" Victor asked suddenly. Evelyn followed his gaze. Lord no, my idea of decoration is mason jars and mismatched daisies. Allison's mother wants magazine perfect. Spent 6 months on Pinterest. Waste of capital, he muttered, then flushed. Pardon. Evelyn laughed softly. You know, Allison told me you invested half her college fund. Doubled it, then tried to return the surplus anonymously. He shrugged. She needed security. She needed love. You gave both. Her hand covered his for an instant, warm. Quick gone. He pretended not to notice but felt the touch linger like aftershave. 9 o'clock brought the first itinerary hurdle flower arch assembly, the wedding planner. A whirlwind in headset and clipboard corralled volunteers beside a cargo van overflowing with balloons. Mr. Hammond, Ms. Carter, she herped. Could you two pair up? We reshored a team. Evelyn beamed. Victor swallowed a protest before he could draft a strategic exit. He was handed a bundle of zip ties and a bucket of fresh roses. They followed the planner to the lakeside pergola. Gold weave these into the lattice. Left to right. Symmetry, please. She rushed off. Victor examined the roses. We should start with a patterned alternate coral and ivory. Maintain 4-inch spacing. Evelyn popped a stem between her teeth like a swashbuckler rose and grinned. Yes, Captain. They worked in companionable silence for several minutes. Evelyn hummed Aretha Franklin, gently tucking buds between slats. Victor clipped stems with surgeon precision. Sun warmed his shoulders. A light breeze carried lavender. You ever do manual labor, Al? She teased. I garden, he replied. You garden? Her surprised delight made him almost defensive. I cultivate bonsai, Japanese maples. Well, hush my mouth. That takes patience. He nodded, twisting the zip tie. Control, too. She chuckled. Control less overrated. Ask any grandbaby armed with finger paint. He tried and failed not to smile. As they neared the arch's apex, Evelyn stood on tiptoe but couldn't reach. Victor offered his steadying arm. She balanced lightly, floral scent mingling with citrus shampoo. For a split second her hip brushed his torso. Electricity pinged unexpected, disorienting. She stepped down, met his eyes. Something unsaid fluttered between them, as tender as the petals they just arranged. Thank you, she murmured. My pleasure, he answered, voice low. A camera shutter clicked. They spun to see a bridesmaid snapping photos. Don't mind me, she squealed, candid for the slideshow. Victor cleared his throat, resumed clipping, but butterflies and emotion he decategorized as adolescent folly took flight in his ribcage. By midday, rumors had swollen from cottage gossip to full-fledged folklore. Some claimed Victor and Evelyn were secret honeymooners. Others insisted they were writing a memoir titled Love After 60. A waiter even asked if they wanted the couple's discount on spa massages. Victor contemplated retreating to the cottage, but the itinerary dragged him to the sunken garden for the rehearsal walkthrough. Bridesmaids fussed with ribbons, groomsmen cracked jokes. Evelyn sat on a stone bench, fainting herself with a program. Allison, radiant even in rehearsal whites, marched over. Uncle V, Auntie Ev, I need a favor. You name it, sugar, Evelyn said. My maid of honor lost her voice coaching cheer camp. I need someone to rehearse her lines so the timing works. Victor, can you stand in? Victor stiffened. I have no acting ability. It is literally reading 4 sentences. Allison pressed a script into his hand. Please, Mom is freaking out about schedule. Evelyn's eyes glittered with mischief. I'll cue you, Owl. Caught in a painter of female charm, he surrendered. They lined up at the aisle's head. The planner hit play on a portable speaker string quartet version of At Last. Couples processed 2 by 2. When Victor's turn came, he offered Evelyn his arm. She took it, winked at him, and they strolled beneath a leafy canopy while petals floated down from somewhere. Practice for tomorrow as flower girls. Halfway, Evelyn whispered, slow down, secret Casanova. Let the music breathe. He adjusted pace. Her perfumed vanilla with a hint of garden soil tickled his senses. At the altar, the officiant nodded. Victor read the lines, may your love be modern enough to survive the times and old-fashioned enough to last forever. His voice scarcely trembled, but Evelyn looked up with proud warmth that punched holes in his composure. The walkway back felt shorter, or maybe he wished it were longer. Late afternoon granted a 2-hour break before the rehearsal dinner. Evelyn insisted they visit the resort's greenhouse for inspiration. She claimed. Victor suspected distraction but followed. The greenhouse smelled of earth and tomato vines. Sunlight fractured through glass panes, painting mosaic patterns over potting benches. Evelyn drifted to a row of orchids. Harold used to buy me one every anniversary. Called them our stubborn beauties. They re-tough, you know. Looks fragile, but they cling to life in crazy conditions. Victor studied her profile. You miss him. Every sunrise. But grief's like compost, messy, stinky, helps new things grow. She turned to him. Do you talk about Elena much? He jolted at the name spoken aloud. Rarely. She was lovely. I saw photos in the slideshow draft. The ache returned, not raw but heavy. Cancer, he said simply. Evelyn placed a gentle hand on his sleeve. I know that thief too. Silence held, thick yet healing. Then she squeezed his arm. Thank you for sharing. He swallowed. Thank you for listening. A hummingbird zipped past, breaking the moment. Evelyn laughed. Even the birds gossip here. Victor exhaled, and for the first time in a decade the outward breath felt cleansing. Rehearsal dinner unfolded under a sail of tent lit by Edison bulbs. Long farm tables bore mason jars of lemonade and platters of fried catfish, a nod to the groom as Mississippi roots. Place cards placed Victor and Evelyn side by side, of course. As dessert pecan pie crossed appeared, Allison linked a spoon against her glass. Everyone, a quick toast, the bride announced. This weekend has been sweet chaos. And 2 people have made it sweeter, my godfather Victor and new honorary aunt Evelyn. Thank you for stepping up, stepping in and proving love stories don't have expiration dates. Applause erupted. Victor shifted in his seat, mortified yet touched. Evelyn accepted the praise with a theatrical bow. Groomsmen 3 shouted speech. Evelyn popped up. All right, but keep your britches on. She lifted her lemonade. To Allison and Marcus, may your fights be short, your laughter long, and your Wi-Fi always strong. And remember, marriage is 2 imperfect people refusing to give up. Cheers. Cheers echoed. Victor felt every eye pivot to him. He stood, cleared his throat. Allison, I have known you since you fit inside a shoebox. Watching you grow into the woman standing here is my proudest yield. Marcus, cherish her. She will multiply any love you give. To both of you, may your days be deliberate and your nights spontaneous. The crowd all D. Evelyn whispered, spontaneous? Look at you cracking open. He sat, ears hot. Perhaps the Bourbon pink glaze emboldened me. She laughed, soft and rich. Night descended, stars peppering velvet sky. They walked back to Cottage 12 along a lantern-lit path. Crickets performed symphonies in the grass. At the door, Victor hesitated. Thank you for today. She tilted her head. For roses, rumors, or rose-colored speeches. All of it. His tone surprised them both, warm, almost playful. Inside, the cot waited like a dutiful soldier. Evelyn eyed it. Your call, Al. That thing looks medieval. He considered the dented mattress, considered the ache still lurking in his spine. Considered the woman before him whose presence felt curiously essential. I propose a compromise, he said. We share the bed, strictly demarcated. Plenty of space, 2 mature adults. Her brow arched, pillow wall. A reasonable barrier. She pretended to mull, then extended her hand. Deal. They shook 1. 2 longer than necessary. Evelyn retrieved an extra pillow bundle from the closet. Together they built a down-filled magnate line down the mattress center. When done, they surveyed their handiwork like engineers. Evelyn climbed under covers first, adjusting reading glasses, opening jazz divas. Victor changed into slate gray sleep pants and a white tee. He slid in opposite side, careful not to jostle the barrier. Lamp off, darkness settled. Minutes passed, then Evelyn whispered, Victor? Yes, if gossip says we were having a late life fling, what do you say? He stared at the ceiling, searching databanks for precedent. None. Finally, I say we write our own definitions. She hummed approval. Night, Al. Good night, Evelyn. Outside, wind rustled rose petals they'd woven hours earlier, sending a few dancing into the moonlit pond, proof that even perfect arrangements sometimes drift where they will. Inside, 2 heartbeat rhythms slowly synchronized through cotton, lavender, and a pillow wall that already felt thinner than it looked. Sleep came easier than hardwood and gentler than spreadsheets, and in dreams. And Iron Owl learned what it meant to fly without a plan. Chapter 3: Storm Clouds and Slow Dances. The dawn of wedding day of Saturday promised sunshine. Pale shafts of gold slipped through the cottage curtains and painted a lattice of light across the shared quilt. For a few lazy heartbeats, Victor Hammond lay motionless, half aware of lavender-scented sheets and the gentle rise and fall of bedding beside him. Then the world cleared. Pillow wall, cottage, rumors, Evelyn. He turned his head. She was still asleep, one arm flung over the invisible borderline. Silver curls fanting across her pillow like unruly spring vines. In sleep she looked much younger, smile lines relaxed. Brows unknitted, lips curved in a faint half-moon of contentment. He felt an impulse to touch the runaway curl that nearly brushed his forearm. He did not move. The bedside clock read 6:19 a.m., late by his standards. He slipped from bed without waking her, headed to the kitchenette, filled the kettle. The click of the burner was louder than expected, and when he glanced back, sleepy brown eyes watched him. Morning, Al, she rasped. Good morning, he whispered. I meant not to disturb you. You make tea like a secret agent, silent but deadly clanks. She pushed upright, clutching the quilt to her chest, realizing the intimacy of the morning. She blushed, then laughed it off. You trying to impress me with caffeine service? He set out 2 mugs plain for himself, brewed Teifel for her. Call it restitution for yesterday's cot saga. Restitution accepted. A comfortable hush settled while steam fogged the tiny window. Outside, clouds amassed on the horizon, slate gray with bruised undersides. Victor watched them. Forecast said clear, he murmured. Forecast never met Georgia humidity, Evelyn replied. Sky can flip its attitude quicker than a toddler with a popsicle. They sipped tea, shoulder to shoulder at the narrow counter, and listened to distant thunder rumble like a sleepy beast. The day's itinerary began with bridal brunch, lawn games. Guests gathered on the resort's great lawn where white parasols dotted emerald grass, and a quartet played jazz covers of Beyoncé. Long tables sagged with quiche fruit and miniature champagne bottles tied with blush ribbons. Victor arrived in navy tunos and a linen blazer casual by his scale, dapper by everyone else's. Evelyn wore a mint green wrap dress sprinkled with hibiscus prints, pearls at her ears, and sneakers beneath the hem old knees outranked fashion. She claimed as they stepped onto the lawn together, a chorus of whispers chased them like wind. Allison bounced over, veil absent, sunflower tucked behind her ear. "You two look adorable," she squealed, then flicked her gaze skyward. "Let us hope the clouds behave." Evelyn patted her arm. "If they misbehave, we'll spank 'em with umbrellas." The bride giggled and was whisked away by the planner. Stations awaited croquet, horseshoes, giant Jenga. Victor would have preferred root canal to icebreaker games, but Evelyn tugged his sleeve toward the croquet rack. "Come on, Al. Strategy plus minimal cardio, your dream sport." He accepted a mallet, inspected the grass. "Fine, but I warn you, I calculate angles." "Good, I calculate chaos." They joined a team of random relatives. As thunder murmured in the distance, Victor lined up his first shot, eyes narrowing in concentration. A tap, a thwack, and his striped ball sailed clean through 2 wickets in one go. The crowd cooched. Evelyn whooped, executed a victory shimmy, and high-fived him. He crept up his neck. He hadn't been high-fived since college basketball intramurals. "Look at you," she crowed. "Mr. Numbers becoming Mr. Fun." Fun. The word fluttered inside him, half foreign, half welcome. He aimed again. Struck. Another success. He risked a glance at her and found her already watching. She offered a proud nod, and something unraveled in his chest, something pleasantly terrifying. Halfway through the match, the first raindrop hit, fat as a grape, splashing on Victor's blazer cuff. Then another plopped onto Evelyn's nose. She squeaked with surprise. Within seconds, the sky opened its faucet. Guests shrieked, parasols flipped, and the jazz quartet scrambled to shield instruments. Victor grabbed Evelyn's hand, instinct, no time to analyze, and pulled her beneath the nearest gazebo. They skidded across wet grass, laughing like fugitives. Under the wooden shelter, 20 soaked guests squeezed against picnic tables. Rain drummed the roof so hard conversation rose to near shouting. Evelyn pushed wet curls from her face. Well, that escalated. He realized his hand still clasped hers. He released gently. "You re-drenched." "So are you." Twining, she wrung water from her skirt hem. Thunder cracked overhead. Lights flickered then died. A collective gasp filled the gazebo as music, speakers and distant lodge power cut to silence. "Oh boy," someone muttered. "Whole resort just lost juice." Victor's mind switched to logistics, backup generators, wiring vulnerabilities, staff protocols. Before he could voice suggestions, Evelyn tapped his elbow. "No laptops to rescue you now, Iron Owl." He almost smiled. "Perhaps they'll reschedule activities for indoors once power is restored." Or she countered, eyes twinkling, "We make our own." An hour later, the storm still raged. Management herded guests into the ballroom, the only structure with generator lines. Candles flickered in hurricane's glass, giving the vast space a cathedral glow. Someone rolled in portable speakers connected to a battery and patched a phone playlist. Soft soul music filled the room. The wedding planner apologized profusely. Luncheon cold, lawn games suspended, photo shoot soggy. Yet the crowd seemed energized by the forced intimacy. Laughter echoed off high ceilings. Evelyn grabbed 2 cups of cocoa from a relief table and found Victor inspecting the fuse panel. "Electrician is not coming any faster if you glare at wires," she teased, handing him a cup. He accepted, inhaled chocolate steam. "I dislike variables." "Well, darling, rain is just sky," adding exclamation points. She took his arm and guided him toward the dance floor where clusters of people swayed. "I do not dance," he warned. "You didn't share beds either. Look at us evolving." She squeezed his bicep through damp linen. "Come on, slow song, one step at a time, literally." He hesitated, scanning for exits, then locked eyes with Allison across the room. She lifted her brows, mouthing "do it." Victor sighed, set cocoa aside, and let Evelyn pull him under fairy light strings. "Left foot, right foot, sway," she instructed, placing his hand on her waist. Warmth radiated through her dress. She slid her other hand into his. Fingers lined C. Easy as pie, peach, of course. He obeyed, moving cautiously. At first his motions resembled a malfunctioning metronome, but Evelyn's gentle guidance smoothed angles into arcs. Music wrapped them. El Green's "Let Us Stay Together" slowed to molasses. Outside wind howled, yet inside a calm bubble formed. Evelyn looked up. "Relax those shoulders. Pretend you real Willow." "I'm more oak than Willow." "Oak can sway too." She rested her head lightly against his shoulder. "Feel the rhythm, Owl." He did, and amid candlelight he discovered a surprising truth. Dancing was simply an equation of balance and trust. With Evelyn as variable wide, the formula finally resolved. Half a song turned into 2, guests smiled their direction, some whispering. But Victor no longer cared. He inhaled vanilla and rain on her skin. Her heartbeat drummed against his chest, steady as Cottage memories. Thunder boomed, lights flickered. On instinct he drew her closer. She didn't pull back. Instead she whispered nature's percussion section. They danced until the playlist shifted to an upbeat Motown track. Children bounded between couples, turning the floor into joyous chaos. Evelyn caught her breath. Break time, superstar. They stepped aside. Victor's pulse hammered, but not from fear. Thank you for teaching. My pleasure. Her cheeks flushed, whether from dancing or something deeper, neither said. Power returned mid-afternoon. Storm clouds drifted east, leaving soaked earth steaming like fresh bread. Staff scurried to reset schedules. Victor volunteered to help troubleshoot the network server in the business center, anything to feel useful. Evelyn joined the bridal party for emergency hairdryer duty. By 5 o'clock, normalcy resumed. The itinerarious next bullet: family story circle, fire pit terrace. The patio was still damp, so they moved it to the covered veranda. Folding chairs formed a loose circle around an iron hearth stacked with crackling logs. Each guest was invited to share a favorite memory of the couple. Victor arrived late, wiping soot from his hands after coaxing a generator. Only one empty seat remained beside Evelyn. He slipped in quietly. She leaned over. How is the grid? Stable. At 80 parent capacity until full restoration tomorrow. Translation: we want to eat dinner by flashlight. She grinned, then nudged his knee with hers a tiny thanks. The groom's uncle recounted fishing disasters. The bride's college roommate described Allison sleep ordering tacos at 3 a.m. Laughter bounced among rafters. Evelyn's turn came. She stood, smoothing her dress. Hi, y'all. I am Evelyn Rose, longtime family friend. I remember little Allison at age 5 carrying a shoebox labeled Important Rocks. She handed it to me and said, I am starting a museum, because everything deserves a place to shine. That always stuck, her belief that ordinary stones could be treasures if you simply looked close enough. Marcus, she nodded at the groom. Thank you for looking close and seeing the treasure. Applause. Allison dabbed tears. Then the planner announced, last up, Mr. Victor Hammond. Victor froze. Public speaking was fine in boardrooms, but tenderness in front of strangers, another beast entirely. Evelyn squeezed his hand. You got this. He rose. I am Victor. Some call me Uncle Al. Laughter rippled. He continued, boys, steady. Years ago, I took child-size Allison to the Natural History Museum. She marched straight past the dinosaur skeletons and stared at a single diode. Purple crystals catching light, she said. It broke so it could sparkle. I see that same courage in Marcus and Allison's love, willing to crack old selves. To shine as something new. Silent, soft, reverent, then thunderous applause. Allison mouthed, love you. Victor sat. Evelyn's eyes shimmered. You returning into a poet, Owl. He shrugged, but inside something gloomed. Dinner moved to the carriage house. String lights, bourbon glazed chicken, and a blues trio. Victor and Evelyn were assigned opposite ends of a 12-seat table, allegedly to mix up conversation. Yet as dishes passed, they found reasons to talk across others, inside jokes about pillow walls, comments on the drummer's syncopation. Their magnetism did not go undetected. Allison's mother raised an appreciative brow. Between courses, Victor excused himself to the veranda for a phone call. Wi-Fi restored, messages poured in, board queries, market alerts. He scanned headlines until a gentle voice said, work chasing you. Evelyn stepped beside him, wrap shawl over shoulders. Twilight painted her profile rose gold. Habit, he admitted, locking the screen. What brings you? Fresh air. You. She folded arms against chill. Mind if I borrow some body heat? He offered his suit jacket. She slipped inside it, drowning, yet regal. The sleeves hung calmly long, making her laugh. Now I am borrowing your tailoring too. Rain leans to air carried honeysuckle scents. They leaned against the railing. Below, lanterns reflected on puddles like twin moons. Tell me something no one knows, she said. He considered. I write haiku. She swiveled, eyes wide. Get out. Strictly private. Discipline exercise. Read me one. I don't keep them here. Then craft one, Owl. Stormy day inspiration. He inhaled. Words assembled like chess pieces. Rain carves time, and would two strangers share one shelter? Thunder hums begin. Evelyn pressed a hand to her chest. Beautiful. He again, stronger. Your turn, he said. She drummed fingers on the railing, thinking, I am scared of silence. He looked at her. I fill rooms with talk because quiet lets memories echo, she continued softly. After Harold passed, the house sounded like grief, so I sang. Baked, hosted strays, anything to keep walls from whispering. Victor's throat tightened. He placed a steady hand over hers. Neither spoke. A crescent moon emerged from cloud rags, bathing them in silver. The storm returned without warning, in words, not skewards. Its name was Vivian Cho, CEO of Orion Biotech and member of Victor's board. She arrived late to dinner. Stilettos clicking, power suit untouched by rain. Spotting Victor with Evelyn's small hand still beneath his, she marched over. Hammond, she said, icy cordial. Didn't he expect you off-grid ahead of Monday's vote? He straightened but did not release Evelyn. Vivian, this is Evelyn Carter. Vivian assessed Evelyn, eyes flicking from floral dress to grandmotherly sneakers. A dismissive arch of brow. Charmed. Victor, a moment? He excused himself, stepped a few paces away. Vivian hissed, our investors want reassurance you recommitted to the merger. Media sniffing. Victor's jaw tightened. We'll discuss Monday. She glanced back at Evelyn. Vacation flings are cute, but optics matter. Don't undermine leadership with distractions. He bristled. My personal life is not your asset column. Vivian's smile sharpened. Everything is an asset or a liability. She pivoted, heels stabbing puddles as she left. Victor returned to Evelyn, tension radiating. She studied his face. You okay? Business politics. He mustered composure. Let us rejoin dessert. She laid a reassuring palm on his chest. We can also skip. I hear the cottage roof holds prime storm watch seats. He exhaled a choice, led the way. They hurried through drizzle to cottage 12. Inside, candles glowed, housekeeping's ambience gesture. Rain tapped the roof as Victor changed into lounge pants, Evelyn into plaid pajamas and fuzzy socks. They set matching mugs of chamomile on the windowsill and perched on throw pillows, watching lightning stitch sky to hills, each flash illuminated raindrops racing down glass. Remember being kids counting seconds between lightning and thunder? Evelyn asked. 7 miles per second, Victor recited. She bumped his shoulder. Leave it to you to quantify wonder. He smirked. Lightning flared, thunder answered quickly. 2 miles. She tucked knees under chin. Thank you for defending me earlier. That woman looked at me like outdated software. He turned fully. Candlelight waltzed in her eyes. Vivian's metrics misjudged value. Evelyn's smile faded to sincerity. And your metrics? He swallowed, evolving. Outside, wind rattled shutters. Inside, hearts rattled ribbages. A sudden gust blew rain through a cracked window, splattering the floor. They scrambled with towels, laughing. In the chaos, Evelyn slipped on the wet plank. Victor caught her waist, steadying. Their faces hovered inches apart. Rain pounded. Candle flames bowed. The world hushed, waiting. Evelyn's voice barely a whisper, oak can sway. Victor dipped his forehead to hers. Breath-mingled thunder rolled like distant applause. He upped her cheek, thumb brushing soft skin. She closed her eyes, leaning in. A knock exploded at the door. They jolted apart. Thunder, no fist. Victor opened the door to a frantic bellhop. Sir, power surge tripped the main breaker for your wing. Management asked if you'd let maintenance access your fuse box. Victor nodded, pulse pounding. Of course. As staff lumped around with flashlights, Evelyn retreated to wipe stormwater from the floor. Cheeks flushed. The moment had slipped, but its echo throbbed. Midnight finally arrived. Maintenance left. Power steady. The pillow wall rebuilt itself. Habit. Maybe camouflage. They crawled into bed, both facing the ceiling. Victor? Yes. Did lightning strike twice tonight? He turned toward her silhouette. I believe it is still striking. Silence, soft and mutual, stretched long. Then her hand crossed the barrier. Seeking, his met it halfway. Fingers intertwined above the pillow wall, bridging thunder and whisper. Outside, storm clouds drifted east, exhausted. Inside, hearts started, weather of their own, forecast unknown, probability thrilling. Sleep came, wrapped them like fresh laundered sheets, and somewhere between raindrops and dreams, an iron owl and a jazz sparrow learned that sometimes slow dances are simply rehearsals for longer songs. Chapter 4: A Secret in the Attic. Morning rolled in shyly, as if embarrassed about the stormy ruckus it allowed overnight. Sunlight tiptoed across the quilt in cottage 12, spilling over 2 clasped hands still resting atop a dented pillow wall. Victor Hammond woke first, blinking at the unfamiliar intimacy. His hand was wrapped warmly around Evelyn's. Palms nested like spoons. For a brief second, he let the wonder sit. No formulas, no market indices, just the quiet knowledge that skin-to-skin contact could feel like a promise. Then the reality of wedding day W D surfaced. He eased his fingers free, careful not to wake her, and slipped from bed. Rain-washed air drifted through the cracked window, carrying hints of pine and peat. The kettle hissed its good morning anthem while Victor performed a quick check of phone alerts, the merger vote reminder. 2 press inquiries, 15 unread staff texts. He answered none. Evelyn stirred, curls aglow in stray sunbeams. Did we outstorm the storm? She asked with a voice still wrapped in sleep. Clear skies, according to radar, he replied, pouring Earl Grey into her daisy mug. Still no guarantee the grounds are dry enough for an outdoor ceremony. Resilient brides make their own sunshine, she said, stretching. Besides, the planner's got contingencies stacked like flapjacks. Victor handed over the tea. Her fingers brushed his electric déjà vu from last night, a almost kiss, and they shared a silent smile. Too wide to be casual, too fresh to label. The resort intercom crackled to life. Attention, wedding party volunteers needed in the carriage loft. Quick hands for decor rescue. Meet at lobby by 9 a.m. Evelyn perked. Carriage loft. That is the attic above the old stables. Allison mentioned spare decorations up there. Victor checked the time, 8:47. We should assist. Logistics. And maybe a little adventure, Evelyn added. She hopped from bed, pajamas flapping, and rummaged for jeans and a lavender t-shirt that read fearless at any age. Victor chose khakis and a chambray shirt, ditching a tie for the first wedding-related task all week. The carriage loft sat atop a weather-beaten brick stable, the only entrance a narrow exterior staircase that looked as though one good sneeze could collapse it. A gaggle of bridesmaids, groomsmen, and extended cousins huddled below, staring up anxiously. "All right, folks," the wedding planner called, tapping her clipboard like a drill sergeant. Overnight flood warped half the ground-level decorations, spare interpieces, lanterns, folding easels, everything is up there. We haul it down, wipe off dust, cue Pinterest perfection, clear? A collective groan answered. The planner pointed her pen. "I need 2 brave souls to go inside first and form an assembly line." Her gaze landed on Victor, broad shoulders, calm demeanor, and Evelyn, radiating limitless enthusiasm. "You two Cottage cookies, right?" The nickname triggered giggles from the crowd. Victor's brows met. But Evelyn executed a theatrical curtsy, reporting for duty. Victor sighed lost battle and followed her up the creaky steps. The attic smelled like pine dust and old stories. Slanted beams framed stained glass windows. Stacks of wooden crates towered ceiling high, labeled with faded handwriting: Winter Gala 1979. Golf fundraiser 1985, wedding do not discard. Evelyn sneezed. "Lordy, even the cobwebs have cobwebs." Victor surveyed structural integrity. "We must clear a path, safety first." His voice echoed in the cavernous loft. They cracked open the first crate, battery teardrop lanterns, thankfully intact. They passed them to a cousin waiting at the doorway, then shifted the next crate toward the entrance. Teamwork unfolded like choreography. Victor hoisted, Evelyn steadied. Jokes volleyed, sweat glistened. After 30 minutes, the others called a break, leaving Evelyn and Victor alone inside, catching their breath atop an overturned steamer trunk. "Reminds me of school play prop closets," Evelyn said, wiping her brow. "Whole worlds waiting in boxes." Victor nodded, scanning dust-plastered labels. A smaller trunk behind them caught his eye, unmarked. Brass-clasped, padlock missing. Curious. Evelyn followed his gaze. "Shall we peek?" Could be moth-eaten linens. Could be pirate gold. Victor knelt, tested the lid. It creaked open to reveal leather-bound journals, a stack of sepia photographs, and a satin ribbon still faintly violet. On top lay an envelope addressed in looping cursive: "To the dreamers who find this." Evelyn's eyes widened. "Well, that is an invitation if I ever saw one." Victor hesitated. Private property. But the envelope literally beckoned. He slid a finger beneath brittle paper and unfolded a letter. January 18th, 1962. "If you are reading this, we never reclaimed our words. Perhaps the world told us to hush. Perhaps we moved on, or perhaps the ridge outlived us. Either way, stranger friend, keep our secret safe or set it free. We were two fools in love, she a Boston socialite, he a stable boy at Lavender Ridge. Opposites by birth, yet equals in heart. We dreamed developing under the wisteria, but promised to wait until the war ended. Until her father's temper cooled, until my enlistment finished. Waiting became wait, and wait became silence. So we tucked our letters here, hoping love might sprout at the touch of new hands. Should you believe in second chances, read on and deliver these words to whoever still trusts in impossible gardens. Samuel T. Clara W." Victor swallowed. Letters like time-capsule starlight. Evelyn brushed a tear. 60 years waiting to be heard. She reached for the journals. Inside, careful handwriting alternated Sam's sturdy block print. Clara's looping finesse, some pages corner-creased, like reread favorites, sketches of horses, doodles of ballroom chandeliers, and a dried wisteria bloom pressed between pages dated E-Day, 1945. Victor traced the flower, whispering, symbolic. Wisteria represents steadfast love. He surprised himself with that trivia. Elena had adored botanical meanings. Evelyn closed the book gently. "What do we do? Turn them over to resort archives?" Or, Victor proposed, gears turning, incorporate them into the wedding. Allison loves romance history. The letters could serve as a reading proof. Love survives storms. Wars, class divides. Evelyn's grin spread. "You sentimental capitalist." Footsteps plunged on the stairs. The wedding planner poked her head. "Progress check. Oh wow, what is that?" Evelyn explained swiftly. The planner's eyes twinkled. "If the couple approves, we'll weave excerpts into the ceremony." "Good save," she radioed staff. Within minutes, the trunk was gently carried down like precious cargo. Back on solid ground, Allison huddled with Evelyn, Victor, and the officiant, reading passage after handwritten passage. Tears shimmered on her cheeks. This is exactly the energy I want. Imperfect. Brave love." She hugged them both. "Will you each read one letter today during the vows?" Evelyn gasped. "Me at the altar?" Victor cleared his throat. "Public display again. If it would please you, Allison, it would mean the world." Rehearsal time was gone. Ceremony would start in 4 hours. The planner orchestrated turbo-prep calligraphy, name cards for Sam and Clara, quotes, microphone tests, new seating program inserts. Amid the whirlwind, Evelyn and Victor stole back to the cottage to shower and rehearse their chosen letters. Steam flashed the bathroom mirror as Victor practiced aloud, "My dearest Clara, the nights on base are colder than Georgia winters, but thoughts of your laugh set every candle ablaze inside me." He paused, voice cracking. He tensed his jaw, willed composure. From the bedroom, Evelyn called, "You okay in there?" "I heard a sniffle." "It is Steam," he lied. She chuckled knowingly. "Steam's cousin Tears says hi." Victor changed into a charcoal suit, no tie still, and stepped out. Evelyn stood before the vanity, pinning an antique lavender comb into her curls. She wore an elegant slate blue dress that skimmed her calves, embroidered with tiny silver leaves. She turned, finding his gaze lingering. "You look," he began, but language malfunctioned. Like a woman who wrestled an addict and one she rescued, blush rising. He cleared his throat, stunning. Their eyes held. Something unsaid pulsed, but time galloped. Ceremony minus 45 minutes. They pocketed their letters and left. The sun triumphed. The ceremony proceeded outdoors. White chairs lined freshly dried grass. Rose petals they reback dotted the aisle. Violinists played Sam Cooke's Cupid. Guests buzzed about the discovered love letters. "Did you hear? Star Rust. Too romantic." Even Vivian Cho looked curious despite herself, seated 3 rows back. Blackberry in manicured grip. Victor and Evelyn took places beside the officiant. Allison glided down the aisle, veil catching sunlight like spun sugar. Marcus waited, eyes glassy. Vows exchanged, rings placed. Then the officiant spoke. "Before you say I do, 2 special guests will share words unearthed from Lavender Ridge as very beams, reminders that love survives time." Evelyn stepped forward first. She unfolded Clara's letter, voice smooth as velvet. "June 4th, 1944. Beloved Sam, some say war steals youth, yet every letter from you returns it, each word a firefly caught in a mason jar, lighting my nights. I promise when you return, I will meet you under the wisteria. No matter the hour, in shoes or bare feet, in silk or sorrow. I'll meet you, because a heart willing to wait is a heart already home." A collective sigh swept the lawn. Victor approached next. His hands trembled, noticeable only to Evelyn. He anchored himself with a breath. "March 19th, 1945. My dearest Clara, the foxholes echo with guns. But inside me plays a song only you can hum. If fate lets me walk out of this mud, I'll build a life worthy of your stubborn grace. And if I cannot, remember that even broken things make strong foundations. Plant our memories and grow gardens from them." He finished. Silence, thick, reverent, followed. A bluebird sang somewhere, audacious applause by feather. Allison and Marcus linked hands, tears streaming. They spoke their vows, voices shaking but clear. "I pronounce you husband and wife," the officiant declared. Cheers erupted. Confetti cannons popped, showering biodegradable lavender petals. Victor stepped back beside Evelyn. She squeezed his arm. "You were magnificent." He leaned closer, lips near her ear. "Your reading was celestial." Their eyes met and locked. The world blurred like a zoomed lens. Only they existed in crisp focus. He almost bent to kiss her, almost, when cameras swarmed. Flashbulbs popping. He straightened, swallowed disappointment. While newlyweds posed for photos, guests migrated to the reception tent. Victor helped coordinate seating charts. Planner as assistant lost the updated version. He rebuilt from memory. Evelyn convinced the DG to add a wartime swing set in honor of Sam and Clara. Between tasks, they wandered to the wisteria arbor behind the pond, a quiet pocket decked in purple blossoms. Evelyn traced a blossom cluster. "Think they ever reunited?" Victor shrugged softly. "Maybe the letters were left because they did and wanted memories to rest. Or because they never could, and this is all they had." Evelyn turned to him. "Either way, strangers finished their story today. Feels like sacred borrowing." He stepped closer. "Stories outlive storytellers." She smiled, a whisper of sadness and joy. "Does ours have chapters left?" He lifted her hand, brushing knuckles with lips. "I hope so." Footsteps crunched gravel. Vivian approached, tablet in hand, brows knitted. "Victor, urgent." Evelyn excused herself to give space, though worry squeezed her ribs. Vivian thrust the tablet. "Financial press leaked rumor you delaying Monday's vote. Shares dipped 2%. Need statement." Victor scanned headlines. He spoke low. "My schedule hasn't changed. Market will correct. It better. Investors see photos of you cavorting like a retiree on holiday." "I'm a retiree on holiday," he bit back. "You re-aboard chair, act like it." She eyed the wisteria blossoms scattered on his blazer sleeve, then marched off. Evelyn watched from afar, reading tension like Braille. When Victor returned, shoulders tight, she asked, "Everything okay, Al?" "A tremor, not a quake," he assured, but his distant gaze said otherwise. Reception time. Inside the tent, string lights blinked, tables gleamed. Victor escorted Evelyn to their place card center table, right next to the bride and groom. Dinner flowed southern surf and turf, cornbread souffle, peach bellinix. Laughter competed with linking china. Yet as speeches started, Victor's phone buzzed nonstop under the table. Vivian, CFO, legal counsel. Headlines multiplied. Hammond silent on merger rumors. Stock volatile. Evelyn noticed his tight grip. She whispered, "Step outside, take the call. I'll save your dessert." He hesitated. "I don't want to abandon." "Saving sanity is not abandonment." She nudged him gently. He stood, squeezed her shoulder and left. Evelyn watched his retreating silhouette, heart pinched. Then she looked toward the dance floor. Couples swaying to swing in honor of Sam and Clara, music that begged participation. But the man she wanted to dance with was outside wrestling obligations. She tapped a spoon to her glass. Ting ting. "Excuse me." The crowd quieted. "Why, all ever heard of dance therapy? Works wonders on stress." She pointed at Marcus's aunt. "Do you gather the Charleston crew? Brightest mom, fetch the line dance posse. We gonna fling joy like confetti." Cheers erupted. Evelyn leapt onto the bandstand, whispered to the bandleader, and moments later a horn riff blasted. Guests flooded the floor. Energy spiked, laughter roared. Outside, Victor concluded a tense call, pinching his nose bridge. Through tent flaps he saw a whirlwind of motion, Evelyn leading a kickline. Pearls bouncing, sneakers stomping, music thrummed through the ground straight to his bones. He pocketed the phone. Enough. He strode inside. Evelyn spotted him, face luminous. She beckoned. "Thunderbolt déjà vu," but he answered. He twirled her mid-step. She squealed with glee. They swung, sashayed, laughed until ribs ached. Cameras flashed, but for once optics felt irrelevant. Applause peaked as the song ended on a cymbal crash and Evelyn dipped theatrically in Victor's arms. Clapping thundered. Breathing hard, she whispered, "You okay?" He nodded, forehead against hers. "I've never been better." An hour later, Kate caught, bouquet tossed. Evelyn caught it, causing riotous whoops. The D announced final slow dance. Lights dimmed. Sam Cooke returned. "This time you send me." Without hesitation, Victor extended a hand. "May I?" She placed her hand in his. "Always." They glided among candlelit tables, slower than before, more certain, words unnecessary. Near the song's end, Victor stopped, heart thrumming. He upped her cheek. "Silence still scare you?" Her eyes glistened. "Not with you in it." He bent, cautious yet certain, and pressed lips to hers soft. Lingering, true. The tent faded. Applause, cheers, camera clicks melted into distant surf. When they parted, Evelyn's smile trembled with joy. Across the room, Vivian Cho witnessed, jaw tight, phones already snapping. Headlines would birth themselves by dawn. Victor's gaze did not waver from Evelyn. "Whatever comes after this, I am ready to fight for the quiet we found." "Good," she said, brushing his lapel. "Because storms test roots, and I think ours just dug in." Later, they slipped away from lingering revelers, walking hand in hand beneath star-strewn sky. Wisteria Arbor welcomed them again, petals glowing eerie pale. Victor produced something from his pocket, the dried bloom from Sam and Clara's journal. "I took liberty," he admitted, "thought they'd approve." He tucked it behind Evelyn's ear, fingers trembling. "For steadfast love," he whispered. She rose on tiptoe, kissed the corner of his mouth. "For impossible gardens." Lights from the tent dimmed as staff cleaned, yet Cottage 12 glowed at the hilltop, beacon of second chances. They climbed the path slowly, unwilling to rush the night. Inside, no pillow wall awaited. They had quietly dismantled it before leaving. 2 mugs of leftover chamomile warmed on the stove. Victor locked the door, turned. Evelyn faced him, eyes sparkling. "Dance therapy part 2, she teased. He set music on his phone, Sam Cooke encore, and they swayed barefoot on hardwood floors that once bruised his back. Moonlight threaded through curtains, weaving silver into her curls. At song's end, she rested her head on his chest. He kissed her hair. Neither spoke. They let silence speak hummingbird words. One last thought flickered through Victor's mind. Stock prices rise and fall. Power grids fail, storms lash, rumors surge. But sometimes, in an attic of forgotten love, you open a trunk and find your own heart scribbled on Kedge's old parchment, waiting for courage to read it aloud. In that moment, courage and love tangled like wisteria vines under starlight. And the Iron Owl finally believed that beginning again is not starting over, it is continuing the story someone else began. Sleep found them wrapped in one quilt, hands touching, no barriers left. In dreams, Sam and Clara danced just beyond sight, whispering thanks. And downstairs, the world continued to spin as it always would, only now Victor and Evelyn chose to spin with it, together. Chapter 5: The Midnight Walkout. Lavender Ridge woke groggy and glittering after the wedding of the decade. Lanterns still swung on shepherd hooks, half-empty champagne flutes dozed on windowsills, and confetti clung to damp grass like stubborn memories. But inside Cottage 12, morning felt anything but dreamy. Victor Hammond sat at the little writing desk, laptop aglow, brows pleated. Headlines rolled across the screen faster than he could click. Billionaire Hammond seen kissing mystery woman at Georgia resort. Merger in jeopardy. Board convenes emergency Sunday session. From Iron Owl to Loveful, shareholders question leadership. Each article recycled the same grainy phone photo of last night as Kiss Evelyn in silver leaves. In bed tenderly, fairy lights chaloing them like a rom-com poster. If the picture captured how alive he felt, the words paired with it reeked of ridicule and threat. A chime sounded. Incoming video call. Vivian Cho. He clicked accept. Her face appeared crisp, immaculate, humorless. Bored as furious, she opened. No greeting. We rebleeding 3% pre-market. It is Sunday, Victor replied, voice graveled by too little sleep. Futures daunting nap. Investors smell weakness. Your public display complicates negotiations. He inhaled. My private life is not in SEC filing. Optic shape valuation. By tomorrow's vote, we need a statement clarifying the relationship was overblown, else the opposition faction will call you distracted and demand postponement. Victor's jaw tightened. Postponement might allow a more measured. Stock could tank 10%. We need certainty. A clean press release. No emotional leakage. She paused, eyes like flint. Distance yourself from the woman, Victor, today. The line went silent. He ended the call, throat burning. Behind him, a tea kettle whistled shrill. He turned. Evelyn stood in the kitchenette, pouring water into the daisy mug. Her smile faded when she saw his face. Bad storm on Wall Street, she asked lightly. Drizzle, he lied, closing the laptop. She handed him his plain white mug. Well, we'll carry umbrellas. She sniffed. Though coffee would armor me better. Big day. Goodbye brunch at 11. Allison's send-off car parade at noon. Then we all scatter like dandelion fluff. He nodded but sipped without tasting. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. Teacher radar. Talk to me, Owl. He opened his mouth, grappled with words heavy as iron filings. Instead of honest weight, he offered featherweight fractions. Market noise. Temporary. She studied him. Silence stretched. At last she nodded, though wariness flickered in her gaze. If you say so. Brunch smelled of bacon, roses, and maple drizzle. The ballroom bustled with luggage-toting guests trading addresses and hugging like oversugared cousins. Victor escorted Evelyn to a two-top near French doors, but his phone vibrated incessantly, rattling silverware. Evelyn squeezed his forearm. Screen off for 20 minutes. Give your adrenal glands a spa moment. He forced a half-smile, switched the device to silent, and slid it into his jacket. Out of sight, not out of mind. The groom's uncle launched a blues harmonica solo. Servers poured mimosas. Victor tried to listen as Evelyn regaled doublemates with a story about teaching fractions through pizza toppings. Yet his attention yo-yoed back to the phone like a dog to a bone it was told to leave. Halfway through the set, Vivian materialized beside their table, high heels clicking. Dune. Morning, Victor. May we talk? Victor rose politely. Evelyn, excuse me. Evelyn's smile thinned, but she nodded. Vivian led him to a quiet alcove near the coat check. She wasted no breath. Draft statement. Read. She handed him her phone. Screen text glared. I value my privacy and regret that a personal moment was misconstrued. I remain fully committed to Korean Titan merger talks. Under it. Victor C. Hammond, chair founder. You want me to sign off, he stated flatly. Within the hour. PR will blast at midday. She took back her phone. Your companion needn't he know. It has routine damage control. He pictured Evelyn's laughing eyes. Last night's wisteria kiss. Her trust. Something inside him snarled. But decades of corporate instinct pressed like gravity. He said only I'll review. Vivian gave a curt nod and strode away. Victor returned to brunch, but Evelyn stood now with Allison's grandmother. Laughter forced. When their eyes met, he sensed her question, everything okay? He offered a reassuring nod. He didn't he feel. After brunch, guests loaded suitcases into waiting shuttles. Evelyn's ride, a church fan of Atlanta ladies she'd traveled with, was scheduled for 2 p.m. She and Victor walked the path around the pond one last time. Ducks quacked valedictory speeches. Evelyn looped an arm through his. Hard to leave paradise. He mustered bravery. You don't have to rush back. I could fly you home tomorrow. Or next week. She chuckled. Rain check Romeo. My grandson's spelling bee is Tuesday. Grandma's front row. She eyed him sideways. And your board showdown, right? He exhaled. The board vote loomed like Judgment Day. Yes. Then we both have dragons to slay. She squeezed his arm. Call me afterward. We'll compare scorch marks. He nodded, but his gut twisted with unsaid things. They rounded the pond, passing the wisteria arbor. A groundskeeper knelt there, planting fresh seedlings. Evelyn paused to compliment his work. Victor's phone vibrated again. Legal counsel now. He ignored it, yet the tremor pulsed up his arm. Evelyn turned back. Everything really okay? You re-vibrating like that phone? The damn crack. My board thinks our relationship this weekend is a liability. They want me to issue a statement minimizing it. Her smile faded, replaced by measured calm. Minimizing. Essentially deny significance. She folded arms, gaze coasting across the pond. And what do you think? He ran a hand through silver hair. I think investors overreact. And I think I want to let them dictate my personal life. She searched his face. Want to or don't he want to? He hesitated, a single heartbeat of pause long enough to expose doubt. Evelyn inhaled slowly, nodding. I see. Evelyn, he started, but she raised a palm. Let us table heavy talk till after your vote. Clear heads. She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Come on. Allison S. Sparkler send-off is about to start. Guests lined the driveway, waving sparklers as the couple drove off in a vintage white convertible. Confetti swirled. Victor and Evelyn stood side by side, arms not touching. Her laughter rang, but he felt distance yawning like a fault line. When the car disappeared beyond willows, shuttles revved. Evelyn's van idled near the lobby. She turned to Victor. Walk me to my ride? He carried her suitcase, set it by the van door. They faced each other beneath the portico. So she said, voice gentle but firm. This is goodbye for now. For now, he echoed. Silence weighed. He wanted to spill everything, resign if needed. Choose her, risk fortune for that Wisteric-soaked promise. But words tangled with responsibility, fear, habit. Evelyn waited. Nothing came. At last she rose on tiptoe, kissed his cheek warm. Soft final. Take care, Iron Owl. She boarded. The van pulled away, leaving exhaust and a vacuum in his chest. Cottage 12 felt cavernous without her laughter. Victor stood in the center, suitcase still unpacked, Vivian's statement draft glowing on laptop. He read it 5 times, each pass feeling like betrayal. He closed the lid. He opened the trunk of Sam and Clara's letters, now stored temporarily in the cottage for Allison to collect later. He skimmed a random page. June 12, 1946. My love, fear told me to walk away, but fear is boring. I choose the roar of truth. Meet me tonight or forever wonder what our song could have sounded like. Clara. Victor snapped the journal shut, heartbeat pounding. Fear is boring. He grabbed his phone, composed a new email, not to Pure, but to the board. I will not release the proposed statement. My personal integrity is not negotiable collateral. Proceed with the vote on objective merits. Victor. He hit send. A rush flooded his veins, equal parts terror and liberation. Outside, dust crept, wind rattled shutters. He poured bourbon he'd been saving, sat on the porch and watched clouds wander. Yet Evelyn's absence grew louder than cicadas. He replayed their parting, her brave face, disappointment tucked in corners. An ache sharpened. He asked how she'd get from Atlanta to Oak Grove. Hadn't he offered to visit the spelling bee? Hadn't he promised anything except vague future calls? Clink of ice in glass. Fear is boring. He rose resolved. Inside the Atlanta Ladies' Church van, Evelyn stared out the window as rolling hills blurred into Peachtree pastures. Conversation swirled, recipes, grandkid photos, gossip about the billionaire and the teacher. She smiled politely but sank inward. At a rest stop 30 miles out, her friend Loretta nudged her. You okay, sugar? UV gone radio silent? Evelyn mustered a chuckle, jet-lagged from joy. Loretta eyed her. That man looked at you like sunrise. Don't he let fear eclipse that? Evelyn blinked back, sudden moisture. Sunrise still sets, honey. The bus rolled on as twilight thickened. Thoughts spiraled. She'd let herself fall into a fairy tale, pillow walls tumbling, attic secrets coaxing hearts. But out in daylight, fairy tales faced shareholders and statements. Maybe she was a charming weekend footnote, nothing more. Around 10 p.m., the van reached Atlanta's church parking lot. Hugs exchanged, luggage unloaded. Loretta offered a ride to Oak Grove, but Evelyn declined, needed air. She phoned for a rideshare, then sat on the curb under a street lamp. A moth circled the bulb, headbutting light repeatedly. She whispered, find a new flame, little one. Her phone buzzed, unknown number. She nearly ignored it, then answered. Hello? Static, then Victor's deep timbre. Evelyn. Her heart stuttered. You okay? I'm at the resort. Correction, leaving. I refused the board's statement. She closed eyes. That's brave. Terrifying. Pause. I should have said earlier you matter more than any vote. I'd trade titles, shares, all of it, before I'd trade what we found. Tears pricked. Victor. I am driving to you. Might reach Oak Grove past midnight. Will you meet me? She looked at her incoming rideshare 5 minutes away, looked at suitcase, tired shoes, that moth still chasing its bulb, then whispered yes. She canceled the rideshare. Victor tossed clothes into a bag, checked out at the after-hours desk, and roared down Highway 85 in a rented SUV. Night wrapped the road in ink. Headlights tunneled through. He rehearsed speeches, discarded them, chose truth instead. Halfway, his phone buzzed Vivian again. He muted. Fear is boring. Oak Grove's main street slept except for Penny's 24-hour diner. Neon coffee cup flickered. At 12:42 a.m., Evelyn sat in a corner booth nursing hot cocoa. Sunflower luggage beside her. The bell above the door jingled. Victor stepped in. Hair wine tossed, eyes alight. He crossed the linoleum like gravity pulled. She stood. They met halfway. For a moment they simply looked. Weeks of loneliness compressed into 48 hours of wonder, now expanded into eternity of possibility. I am sorry, he said first, for hesitation, for letting noise drown truth. She blinked away tears. I let fear write conclusions too soon. He took her hands. I told my board no, they may fire me tomorrow. She smiled softly. Then you all have more time for bonsai and swing dancing. He laughed a sound half broken, wholly free. I have time for whatever life we build. If you all have me. Evelyn squeezed his hands, pulse steady. I am not a side note, Victor. Main chapter, he vowed. The waitress, unfazed by midnight confessions, refilled cocoa. They slid into the booth, knees touching, and mapped next steps on a napkin. 1. He attends board vote remotely from Oak Grove Community Center tomorrow. 2. She hosts her baking class Monday morning but saves evening for porch talk. 3. Spelling bee Tuesday, he'll cheer front row. 4. Afterwards, week-long road trip Savannah, Charleston, wherever wisteria blooms. Napkin signed with 2 initials, B, and a doodle of an owl perched on a sunflower. At 2 a.m., they stepped into cool night. Stars spilled across the rural sky. Victor opened the SUV door, then paused. May I? He asked, pulling her close. She rose on tiptoe. Their kiss, unrushed, tasted of cocoa, relief, and promise. When they parted, she chuckled. Town gossips will explode tomorrow. Let them. Rumor only bothers those with something to hide. He kissed her forehead. We hide nothing. They drove to Evelyn's cottage townhome. Porch light glowed. She invited him and spare guest room available. He accepted, but first they brewed herbal tea, walked the quiet block hand in hand, and marveled at how fearlessness felt lighter than luggage. Inside, she pointed to a china cabinet. Harold S. bonsai tools. Thought I'd give them away. Maybe you'll put them to use. He touched the wooden box reverently. I will. They parted at hallways, fork rooms left and right, before doors closed. Evelyn whispered, Night owl. He smiled, Night sparrow. Doors clicked, but sleep delayed itself. Both lay awake, hearts thrumming twin rhythms. Victor checked stock futures one last time, down 4%. He shrugged under the quilt, unafraid. Somewhere between 3 and 4 a.m., he drafted a new haiku on his phone. Midnight walkout blooms, 2 souls refuse fine print as chains. Dawn signs the contract. He sent it to Evelyn across the hall. Moments later, her soft laughter floated through drywall, and he folded into dreams where pillow walls never existed. Beyond Oak Grove, markets would open, headlines would roar, but a billionaire and a retired schoolteacher had already offered their statement, written not in press releases, but in fearless footsteps toward each other long after midnight. And that, they decided, was the only metric worth tracking. Chapter 6, Truth on the Terrace. The sun crawled over Oak Grove like it, too, had spent the night rewriting its priorities. Dew glittered on porch rails, songbirds rehearsed their scales, and inside Evelyn's snug townhome the aroma of cinnamon biscuits drifted down the hallway. Victor woke before the alarm habit, but instead of spreadsheets he found himself scrawling the haiku he'd sent her hours earlier. The little red check mark glowed blue underneath. She replied with 3 emojis: an owl, a sunflower, and a sunrise. Simple, perfect. He showered, shaved, and dressed in a pale blue button-down, no jacket, no tie. Chairman Warpaint felt wrong for today's battle. Laptop underarm. He padded toward the kitchen. Evelyn stood at the stove in a polka dot apron, hair wrapped in a scarf. Humming Lovely Day, she flipped a biscuit onto a plate and looked up. Morning owl. Ready to slay corporate dragons from the comfort of my Wi-Fi? Ready as I'll ever be. He leaned in, kissed her cheek. She tasted of flour and hope. They ate together at the tiny bistro table, sunlight slanting through lace curtains. No pillow wall, no luxury chandeliers, just chipped china and mismatched napkins. Victor felt oddly richer. At 8:45 they drove to the Oak Grove Community Center, a red brick building that doubled as polling site and bingo hall. In the multipurpose room, Evelyn's quilting club had set up rows of folding chairs. Now they rearranged them into a makeshift boardroom. A printed banner read good luck. Victor, in glitter letters. He blinked. You told people. Small town, she said, shrugging. Plus moral support inflates the courage balloon. Loretta handed him a thermos of sweet tea for stamina while Mr. Earl from the hardware store checked the projector cables. The scene would have mortified Wall Street, yet Victor's heart swelled. At 9 a.m. sharp, Vivian Choa's face filled the projector screen. Flanked by 12 other directors in high-definition mahogany boardroom, bottled water lined like soldiers. Skyline view, Oak Grove as fluorescent lights flickered. Vivian's brows rose at the homemade banner. Shall we proceed? Victor muted the room mic and addressed the locals. 5 minutes. Then I'll unmute. Thank you all, truly. They retreated to the hallway, leaving him with Evelyn alone. He unmuted. Good morning, board. Vivian launched straight in. First agenda merger vote. Before that, we require clarity regarding recent press. Victor inhaled. I released a statement last night. A gray-haired director adjusted glasses. You refuse to minimize personal matters. Investors are anxious. My personal integrity underlies every contract I have ever signed, Victor said. If we ask the market for faith, we must demonstrate it. I want to barter people I love for share price. Murmurs on screen. Vivian's jaw ticked. Moving on merger terms have tightened. Orion insists on an accelerated timeline. Support hinges on continuity of leadership. If your focus is elsewhere. Victor raised a hand. Then continuity will come from new leadership. He paused, feeling the weight lift even before words landed. Effective immediately. I resign as chairman and vote my shares in favor of the merger. I will transition as consultant for 6 months, after which I step away. Gasps. Vivian blinked. You re serious? Nevermore. Silence stretched an eternity measured in heartbeats. Then the gray-haired director cleared his throat. Motion to accept Mr. Hammond's resignation with commendation for service. Another director seconded. Hands raised on screen unanimous. Vivian spoke, voice soft for once. The market will react, but thank you for clarity. Victor nodded. Meeting adjourned. He clicked leave. The projector froze on the last frame, then dissolved into the Windows desktop. He exhaled. Shoulders dropped inches. Evelyn stepped in from the hallway. Eyes wide. Well, it is done. He gave a half-laugh, half-sob. I am unemployed. She set a gentle hand on his chest. You re-unemployed. He kissed her forehead, and weightless. They celebrated with a fettericamage and coffee and a confetti cannon Loretta insisted on firing in the parking lot. Glitter drifted onto pickup trucks like metallic snow. Victor laughed, genuinely, until his stomach hurt. At noon they crossed town to the elementary school auditorium for Dylan's regional spelling bee. Rows of plastic chairs wobbled on scuffed hardwood. Evelyn's grandson, a weary 9-year-old in glasses, spotted her and waved frantically. She blew him kisses. Victor sat between Evelyn and Dylan's parents, clutching raffle tickets for a bake-scale pie. One by one, kids spelled conscientious, symbiosis, ephemeral. Dylan survived round after round until only 2 contestants remained. The teacher read chrysanthemum. Dylan squared his shoulders, glanced at Grandma. Evelyn nodded, tapping her temple. He inhaled and nailed it. Auditorium erupted. Dylan sprinted to his family and leapt into Evelyn's arms. She twirled him, laughing. Victor's eyes misted something about victories unmeasured by Fortune 500 tickers. When Dylan turned to Victor, uncertain, Victor crouched. Chief, that was executive-level performance. He extended a fist. Dylan bumped it, grin splitting ear to ear. Evelyn caught the exchange, heart blooming. Evening painted the sky watermelon pink. Evelyn's back porch terrace overlooked community gardens bursting with tomatoes and marigolds. String lights she de-looped for past potlucks now blinked awake, lending magic to mismatched lawn chairs. They carried a picnic fried chicken from Mr. Earl's wife, potato salad, peach crumble. Victor opened a Zinfandel he bought at a roadside market. They ate barefoot, cicadas providing rhythm. Conversation meandered her teaching years, his childhood and Savannah's housing projects. The night he coded his first trading algorithm on a borrowed laptop. As dusk deepened, truth sharpened. Evelyn set down her wine. Tell me what scares you most, now that the crown is off. He considered. Irrelevance. The world moves fast, I chase to stay ahead. Without the chase, who am I? She reached across, laced fingers through his. Maybe someone who learns to stroll. He squeezed gently. Your turn. What scares you? She looked at the moon, thin as lemon rind. Losing myself in somebody else's world. Harold and I balanced easy, but with you your world was skyscrapers. Jets, I worried I'd vanish. Victor shook his head. You all never vanish. Your gravity bends others to brighter orbits. She smiled, tears shining. Still, how do our lives fit? Oak Grove's my nest. We don't force fit. We weave. He pulled a folded pamphlet from pocket. Oak Grove Literacy Fund prospectus she drafted years ago but never filed. Dog-eared. Found this on your bookshelf. Her eyes widened. My pies in the sky dream. Evening tutoring bookmobile. I shelved it. He slid it across the table. Let us unshelve. I've got capital, time, and a name still worth signatures. She covered her mouth. Victor. Say yes, Sparrow. A tear slipped. She nodded. Yes. Then she tilted her head. But I want you to keep on saying, writing haiku. The world still needs iron owl magic. Fair bargain. They moved to the porch swing. Fireflies orbited. He recited a fresh haiku. Stocks fall, hearts ascend, porch light outshines, boardroom glare, tomorrow roots bloom. She laughed, nestling against him. You and those 17 syllables. He brushed her cheek, efficient storytelling. Lightning flickered, far off summer heat, not storms. They swung slowly, wooden chains creaking lullabies. Evelyn spoke into the hush. Do you regret resigning? He thought of skyline views, private jets, and the loneliness inside them. He kissed her hair. I regret waiting decades to choose joy. A distant church bell chimed 9. Porch lights down the block winked out one by one. Evelyn nudged him. Wanna see something? She led him inside, up a narrow staircase to her attic studio. Moonlight slanted through a dormer window onto stacks of quilts, class posters, and against one wall Harold's bonsai table. Only one pot remained, a gnarled little juniper long neglected. I couldn't keep it alive, she whispered. Maybe you can. Victor inspected the tree, brittle yet green inside near the root. It still breathes. He fetched pruning shears, trimmed dead twigs, misted water from a spray bottle. We'll nurse it. He turned. Evelyn watched. I soft. You heal things, she said. He shook his head. We heal each other. On the attic floor sat a vintage record player. She placed a vinyl Ella Fitzgerald and scratchy brass-filled dusty rafters. He extended a hand. They danced among quilt stacks, feet shuffling over decades of memories. In that crammed space the world felt vast. Song ended. They paused, breaths mingling. She touched his face. Stay tonight. I plan to. In my room, she clarified. He searched her eyes, no uncertainty. He nodded, with joy. Later, moonlight washed their tangled silhouettes. Words became unnecessary. This time no pillow wall, no hesitation. When sleep finally claimed them, it felt like landing rather than drifting. Dawn tiptoed again. Victor woke to the soft cadence of Evelyn's breathing, the faint scent of wisteria shampoo. He slipped out quietly, fetched his laptop to the terrace. Emails exploded, market stabilized overnight, merger praised, headlines shifted from scandal to leadership change. Vivian wrote board accepted terms, grateful for smooth transition, investors cautiously optimistic. He closed the lid unfazed. Evelyn patted out in robe carrying 2 mugs. News? World S still spinning. She linked her cup to his. So were we. They watched sunrise ignite garden plots, tomato vines catching gold, plants sprouted, file literacy nonprofit papers, renovate community center office, schedule bonsai workshops for seniors. Evelyn grinned. Never thought retirement would get busier. Busy with meaning, he corrected. She leaned on his shoulder. Truth on this terrace tastes sweeter than any corporate victory. He kissed her temple, first of many. Some truths needed no press release, only sunrise, garden soil, and 2 hearts brave enough to claim them. Chapter 7 Sunrise at Suite 409. Every love story deserves an intermission, a stretch of open road where mile markers replace headlines and 2 travelers relearn the art of wonder. 1 week after the whirlwind in Oak Grove, Victor Hammond and Evelyn Rose Carter climbed into a powder blue Buick convertible borrowed from Mr. Arliss used our lot and headed south for their promised getaway. They meandered through moss-draped buck roads, stopping whenever a hand-painted sign bragged about peaches, antiques, or oddities. Victor bought a jar of moonshine jelly because Evelyn dared him. She bought a straw sun hat because he said it matched her laugh. Nights found them in modest motels, nothing like Victor's usual 5-star habit, but each place offered tales: a lobby ghost in Claxton, a jukebox that only played Sam Cooke in Statesboro, a porch swing that whispered new haikus in Brunswick. By Friday they reached Savannah. Riverfront cobblestones glimmered beneath string lights as cargo ships lumbered past like floating skyscrapers. Evelyn tucked her arm through Victor's inside. This city feels like music slowed to a waltz. I spent my childhood 50 miles from here, Victor said, gesturing at the water. Came on school trips, vowed one day I'd afford the fanciest hotel in town. So where are we staying, Mr. Ex-billionaire, she teased. He produced 2 brass keys, yes, actual keys, from his pocket. The Magnolia House, built 1891, no penthouse, just suite 409, 3rd floor veranda. View of the river and rumor of the best sunrise in Georgia. Evelyn's eyes widened. You and your sunrise quests. Worth chasing, he replied, kissing her knuckles. The Magnolia House smelled of lemon oil, old wood, and stories. A white-haired concierge welcomed them as if they'd stepped through time. Breakfast arrives in picnic baskets at dawn, she explained, but you must fetch it from the dumbwaiter. It is tradition. Suite 409 occupied the turret corner, tall windows, heart pine floors, a brass bed framed by lace curtains. Outside, a narrow balcony wrapped the turret like a ribbon. Evelyn set her suitcase down and twirled, scarf flaring. If these walls could gossip, they'd never sleep. Victor adjusted his glasses, quietly overwhelmed by nostalgia. I used to bike past this hotel and imagine the people inside elegant, important. Thought if I cracked the code of money I'd belong. He looked at her, smile rueful. Turns out belonging didn't cost a cent, just courage. She upped his cheek. Belonging costs honesty. You paid in full. They unpacked minimally 2 days' clothes, her travel scrabble, his bonsai shears never know when pruning inspiration strikes. Then they wandered River Street, each from po' boys, and listened to a busker croon Georgia on my mind. Tourists snapped photos of them dancing under gas lamps. Victor didn't flinch. After midnight they returned to Suite 409. Evelyn washed her face while Victor stood on the balcony, surveying a city he once thought would validate him. Now validation curled asleep in the bathroom, humming an improvised shampoo commercial. She joined him, hair in a loose braid, moonlight etched silver along her collarbone. Penny for your poem? He offered a handwritten haiku. River swallows, moon, boyhood dreams drift out on tide, love docks, light laden. She pressed the paper to her heart. You re-spoiling me in syllables. They slept tangled, window cracked for river breeze. At 5:42 a.m., the dumbwaiter bell jingled. Breakfast delivery. Victor stirred first, tiptoed to retrieve a wicker basket lined in gingham, 2 pecan scones, fresh berries, and a thermos of cherry coffee. He set it on the balcony table, then woke Evelyn with a kiss. Sunrise audition is about to start, Miss Carter. She wrapped herself in a quilt and followed him outside. Dawn hovered violet over the horizon. Cargo ships silhouetted like ink sketches. They sipped coffee, shared scones, and spoke in low murmurs so as not to scare the light. When the first sliver of sun crowned the river, Evelyn whispered, beautiful. Victor reached into his pocket. Not as beautiful as what this sunrise means. She arched a brow, which is. He produced a small velvet pouch, placed it on the table. Her breath caught. Victor. Easy, he soothed. Not a ring. That will come when the time is right for both of us. This is a key. She opened the pouch. Inside lay a vintage skeleton key attached to a lavender-colored tag that read Suite 409. Lifetime reservation. He explained. The concierge agreed to let us reserve this room every June 1st. Sam and Clara Day. Evelyn's eyes shimmered. Sam and Clara? To honor letters that changed everything. Every year we'll return. Read one letter aloud. Remind ourselves why fear is boring. Tears slipped freely now. She touched the key. I accept this promise. He exhaled, relief flooding. Then he added, and there's more. She laughed through tears. Always an addendum, Chairman. He pulled a folded document from his robe pocket. Oak Grove Literacy Fund Charter. Stamped approved. State certified it yesterday. Board of Directors lists you as founder. Me as treasurer. Evelyn pressed a hand to her mouth. Victor, I was going to file next month. Beat you to it. I like closing deals. She launched into his arms, quilt and all. They rocked against sunrise until a shout rose from the street below. Hey lovebirds. Get a room, they laughed, waved at the passing jogger. They spent the day exploring Spanish mosque squares, tasting prasains, feeding gulls. But late afternoon delivered tension in a crisp envelope left at the front desk. Ms. Carter, Mr. Hammond, kindly join us in the Magnolia House Library at 4 p.m. for urgent business. Vivian Cho. Evelyn frowned. She tracked us down. At my old haunt, of course, Victor sighed. In the mahogany-lined library they found Vivian impeccably dressed, clutching a leather portfolio. She rose. Victor, Evelyn, no small talk. She slid 2 documents across the table. First, she said, tapping the papers, the board accepted your resignation but wants you on retainer for 1 year. Remote, advisory only, generous compensation. Second, Orion's CEO asked me to deliver a personal thank you after the merger closed yesterday. Stock bounced 4%. Victor skimmed the retainer number, had more zeros than cents. He glanced at Evelyn. She lifted a brow. Your call. Vivian added, your integrity stunt earned goodwill. Ironically, it is now a larger asset. You can consult from anywhere including Oak Grove. Victor leaned back. I'll consider. No guarantee. Vivian exhaled, rare vulnerability. Also, I apologize for my earlier interference. I projected my own fear of irrelevance. You two seem real. Evelyn softened. We are. Vivian stood. Whatever you choose, good luck. She left, heels echoing down the corridor. Victor chuckled. Did the Ice Queen just thaw? Miracles follow us, Evelyn quipped. He signed the retainer partial, 6 months, his terms. Consulting would fund the literacy fund, but not tether them. Evening brought a thunderstorm. Summer's encore. Rain drummed Suite 409's roof while they picnicked on the bed with takeout gumbo. Lightning cast lay shadow arabesques across skin. When thunder boomed, they counted miles together. Habit turned foreplay. After love and laughter they lay breathless. Evelyn traced circles on his chest. We've lived 10 lifetimes in 1 month. He hummed assent, and drafted 1,000 more. She propped on an elbow. You know my pastor says relationships need mission statements. He grinned. Of course I attract B language even in romance. She poked him. Serious. Ours could be spread courage, plant literacy, prune fear. I'd dance whenever possible. Deal. She fetched her journal and in purple ink wrote, Mission of Victor Evelyn Suite 409 Sunrise Draft 1. 1. Love loudly. 2. Serve generously. 3. Learn daily. 4. Dance hourly. 5. Fear is boring. They signed with a flourish, then tucked the page behind the framed watercolor of the river. A secret for future renters or their older selves to find. Before dawn they woke naturally, no alarms. A soft rosy glow hinted behind clouds. Victor grabbed 2 umbrellas, Evelyn grabbed the key. They padded barefoot to the balcony just as sunbeams cut through mist, painting gold onto rain-polished rooftops. Evelyn sucked in a breath. Goddess watercolor class. Victor slid an arm around her waist. Suite 409 passes inspection. She leaned back against him, humming at last. He joined off key. But conviction compensates for pitch. A ship horn trumpeted like a bass harmony. She whispered, ready for our next chapter? He kissed her hair. I was born ready the second I saw you juggling a flamingo mug. Her laughter rose with the sun. Together they watched light flood the river, confident that sunrise would meet them wherever they wandered as long as they faced it side by side. Chapter 8 Vows of the Unexpected. 1 year can pass like a stolen breath or unfurl like a novel. For Victor Hammond and Evelyn Rose Carter, the 12 months after Suite 409 did both. They spent weekdays rewriting Oak Grove. Victor, as consulting checks, funded the Literacy Fund's conversion of an abandoned feed store into a 2-story community library. Evelyn lead volunteer teachers. Victor taught coding basics. Dylan, now 10, shoved books in alphabetical order because Mr. L likes structure. They spent weekends wandering bonsai conventions, beach flea markets, jazz festivals. They found an Airstream trailer online, refurbished it lemon yellow, and christened it Chapter 2. Each side bore a hand-painted slogan, Fear is boring. Through it all, Suite 409's key hung on a nail by Evelyn's back door. A compass pointed toward June 1st, their Sam and Lara day. June 1, 7:08 a.m., Magnolia House, Savannah. Sunlight teased through lace curtains, tickling Victor's nose. He opened one eye, saw the key resting on the nightstand, saw Evelyn's gray curl sprawled across his shoulder, and whispered, Morning, Sparrow. She murmured something about scones and snuggled closer. But the sunrise would not wait. Victor kissed her awake, fetched the breakfast basket from the dumbwaiter, and they took their places on the turret balcony, just as they promised. Evelyn drew a folded letter from her robe pocket. Claire's words, Year 2. Victor produced Sam's counterpart. Together they read aloud alternating sentences while dawn painted the river blush gold. When finished, Evelyn wiped happy tears. They finally eloped 6 months later. Did you see the postscript? He nodded, tapping the page. Tell the unexpected yes. They linked scone crumbs like champagne glasses. Noon River Walk. They strolled hand in hand past Spanish moss oaks. Victor paused beside a wrought iron gate. Got a detour planned. Inside waited a surprise picnic gingham blanket, crystal flutes, and a small string trio hired from the local conservatory. Evelyn gasped, You schemer. Victor knelt not with a ring, but with Harold's restored bonsai, now lush and vibrant. Your late husband taught perseverance. You taught me courage. Will you marry me under wisteria, under library rafters, under any sky that dares to arch above us? Evelyn's smile trembled. Yes, under rain, under stock dips, under wrinkles. The trio launched into it last. Tourists applauded, and pigeons awkwardly filled in as flower girls. 2 weeks later, Oak Grove Literacy Library. Invitations had gone out, handwritten, stamped with owls and sunflowers. Victor, Evelyn request the pleasure of your presence at the most unexpected wedding of the season. Dress code, comfortable shoes, louder laughter. The library smelled of fresh paint and hope. Bookshelves framed a central aisle lined with mason jars of wildflowers. Up on the mezzanine hung the attic trunk from Lavender Ridge, now display case for Sam and Clara's journals. Victor fussed with his boutonniere tiny bonsai sprig as Dylan straightened his tie. Relax, future grand step something, the boy said. Victor laughed. Titles were still a work in progress. Downstairs, Evelyn paced behind a curtain of fairy lights. Loretta fluffed her sunflower yellow gown. Nervous? I am 69, wearing sneakers under silk. Of course I am nervous, she quipped, then inhaled. But fear is boring, May Horrorst. Music cued a swing jazz quartet covering Let Us Stay Together. Guests stood. Victor's eyes misted as Evelyn entered, bouquet of lavender and many peaches in hand. Mid-Azel, she paused, turned to the crowd. Why all mind if I take the scenic route? She asked, then zigzagged to hug every relative and 3 strangers. Finally at the altar a lectern topped with dictionary stacks. The officiant Allison, now 6 months pregnant, began. Friends, family, library cards, welcome. Laughter rippled. She continued, these 2 taught me that stories don't end at happily ever after. They start there, so let us write a new chapter. Vows. Victor, I promise sunrise keys, midnight haikus, and Wi-Fi that never buffers your dreams. Evelyn, I promise pillow wall demolition, dance therapy on demand, and courage on tap when fear tries to bore us. They exchanged rings forged from recycled server cables and heirloom gold. Symbolism came standard. Allison declared, by the power vested in me by the Universal Library of Love, I pronounce you partners in prose. Giss, applause, confetti cannons disguised as book spines erupted, showering biodegradable letters of the alphabet. Reception, community garden terrace. Picnic tables groaned under potluck glory, catfish, vegan mac, bourbon peach pies. A banner read dance hourly, and the DJ obeyed. Victor twirled Evelyn beneath string lights. Vivian showed up with a +1 and surprisingly decent swing footwork. Mid-evening, thunder growled on the horizon. Victor glanced skyward, history repeating. Evelyn squeezed his shoulder, storm as just sky adding exclamation points. Rain burst, guests squealed, but no one fled. They danced harder, shoes splashing mud. Dylan started a conga line, Allison waddled, pregnant belly proud. Even Vivian's silk suit surrendered. Between raindrops, Victor upped Evelyn's face. Best merger ever? Hostile takeover of my heart. She grinned, then pulled him into a kiss so exuberant that lightning might as well have taken notes. Late night back porch of their shared home. Guests gone, clothes towel dried. They sat on the swing, wedding quilt around their shoulders. The restored bonsai sat on the railing, rain fresh. Fireflies blinked Morse code. Evelyn sighed contently. Remember when we met? One bed, one barrier, one bottle of Dawn that never arrived. We should send the resort a thank you note. Victor chuckled. Subject, booking errors that fix lives. She nudged him. Read me tonight as haiku husband. He opened his vow booklet and recited. Rain baptizes vows, pillow walls rot into mulch, love blooms, unfiltered. She clapped softly. My turn. She produced a mini notebook, read. All Mary's Sparrow library lights guard our nest, fear files, chapter 1. He laughed. Sequel already? Series, she corrected. They fell quiet, listening to crickets score the credits. Victor finally spoke. We never planned this. Good, she said, resting her head on his chest. The unexpected writes better plots. Epilogue. 1 month later. A postcard arrives at Lavender Ridge Resort, addressed to management, that poor front desk clerk. It reads, thank you for overbooking. We kept the pillow. Come visit the Oak Grove Library. Your names are engraved on our donor wall under fate. Victor, Evelyn, Hammond. Tucked inside is a photo room. 314's former roommates standing beneath suite 409's balcony, holding Sam Clara's trunk between them, beaming toward a dawn too bright to calibrate. Because sometimes love doesn't knock, sometimes it books the last room, forgets the champagne and rewrites everything more beautifully than planned. The end in the beginning.